Hey, what's up, Worship and Creative? This is Julian Garcia. We're so glad that you joined us here on the podcast. We're looking forward to what we're talking about in the future that Worship and Creative will be doing when it comes to podcasting and having conversations with great creatives and leaders in the industry. But hey, today we're going to have Luke Breton van Groll joining us today. He's from our church in Tacoma, Washington, and I've known this guy for quite a while. I've known him since he was in high school. Just a great worship leader, just doing great things for the kingdom of God. And we know that great things are ahead of him, and he's going to be able to just speak some truth over us today. We get to hear his story, where they're at. He's also got this thing called Destiny City Music, which is amazing music. I don't know if you've heard of it yet, but hey, go to iTunes right now, download Destiny City Music. And I'm telling you right now that you won't be disappointed. It's great worship, a great team of people, and we're excited to have him on today. What is up, man? How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing great. Fantastic.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Oh, so good, man. We've been getting started through this thing. You're actually one of our you're probably like the fourth podcast now, and we've been having some great conversations. We've talked to even your friend Chase Wagner. We've talked to Alex Damari. We've talked to a friend of mine. His name is Brandon Richardson. He's from Richland Music with Goatee Records, which is so fun. And yeah, we're just having great conversations with people, and we're excited to have you on today, bro. I really appreciate you saying yes and taking some time out of your family and your busy life for us.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I know two of those guys. I love both of those guys. Those are amazing dudes. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Well, hey, real quick, for anybody who doesn't know who you are, can you just take a moment? I want you to just give us a brief description of who Luke is, where he comes from, what he does, and what he does now. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Luke Breton van Groll. I'm a worship pastor here in Tacoma, Washington, and it is a rarity that the sun is shining, and so I'm celebrating today. It's still cold; it's like 55 degrees, so I got to wear my flannel. But I've been a music pastor for a little bit more than 10 years, and music is a large part of my life. I'm married. I've been married for 10 years to my wife, Tracy, who is amazing. We have two girls. Olivia is 7 and Rita is 3. And so we have our hands full, but life is full. We're just loving God, loving life, doing ministry out here in Tacoma. Like you said, I'm part of a collective that we started a couple years ago called Destiny City Music.
Yeah.
And we've got some great worship leaders. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit, but so we're just making music, trying to reach people for Jesus here in Tacoma. Quick little thing. I grew up here. In 2014, we moved to Los Angeles, helped start a church in LA. We were there for about 2 years. We moved to the Bay Area, helped with some music there at a beautiful church in the Bay Area. And we decided just a little bit over 2 years ago to move home, and our families live here. And so making music in the beautiful Pacific Northwest.
Awesome. I love that, man. And Luke is one of those guys that's been around for a while. If you've ever heard of certain churches or certain music, he's kind of been all over the place. And I really appreciate the music that he's written, and know that it's walked a lot of people through hard times in their lives. It's walked them through exciting times in their lives, and just great worship experiences that we've got to experience with Luke and the music that he's written. So God's truly given him a gift of writing and just being a leader and being there for people in their lives and helping people plant churches, multiple churches you've been a part of when it comes to planting. And so we're excited to see what God does in your life and how you're going to move forward in your life. But hey, but Luke, man, we've been talking a lot about mental health in the church, and we've been talking about just being a healthy creative in the church. And you're somebody, I know things aren't perfect for you. I know that it hasn't been just pure light for you. And there's been dark times that you've walked through. And you don't need to talk about those things specifically. If you want to, that's great, but you don't have to. But I would love to hear from you. What are some tools or things that you've done to keep yourself in a place where you're able to truly keep your head on straight? Because we know in the church gets messy and people get messy and creativity gets messy. And in the midst of all that, how has Luke Breton van Groll kept himself afloat and staying connected to the local church and leading in the church?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you say that, that makes me think, the first thing I think of is rest. I think rest is so important.
Yeah.
We have Mondays off as a staff here, and I've had Mondays off, I think, for a while, and it doesn't matter what day it is, but for me, I think it's so important. I feel like sometimes I can get more done if I just work through that, that Monday or that day off. And maybe that may be the case for a couple days, but I pay for it later. And then I find myself where there's a couple days where I'm like, man, I'm not even productive because, man, I haven't rested. And that's, we're created. We need rest. We're created to need rest. And so the first thing I would say, you have to make sure you're getting rest. And I think about margins, on any book, there's margins at the edges of a book. If the text went from one side to the other, I feel like you would open it up and it would be so much. There's a reason that there's margin in our lives. We need margin. And so that, I would say, that's the first thing for me. The second thing, especially in ministry, is keeping the mission the main thing. I think yes, we do follow people of sort, but my number one thing is I follow God, and I have a calling, and I have to stay true to my calling.
So true. Yep.
Some people are gonna, they're not gonna act how maybe they should, or they're gonna be maybe more harsh than they should. And those things, people, we need to make sure that we have great relationships with people. But at the end of the day, I'm not doing this for people. I'm doing this for God. And if I base it on, man, I'm doing this for some dude, I'm working for some dude, I'm going to be let down. And that's going to put me in a place where I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It's going to make me start questioning things. And I think a long time ago, I made a decision to just say, hey, people are going to succeed and people are going to fail around me. I'm going to succeed and I'm going to fail. It takes humility to look at and say, you know what, things are going to happen. This is, we're humans. This is life, But the thing that I must keep in perspective is that I'm doing this for God, and it's a bigger picture. So I think making sure that I'm resting, making sure that my perspective is right, that this is for God, and there's could be deadlines and there's all these other things that could be going on that can cause friction. It can cause me to want to burn out and want to throw in the towel at certain times. But just keeping that perspective that it's also not dependent on me either. I know God uses people, but at the end of the day, it's okay to take a step back and rest. It's okay to take a step back and say, hey, you know what? I don't know if I can do this one. Give someone else maybe this opportunity or whatever. Just keeping health in mind, knowing that we can't do it all.
Yeah, no, that's so real, bro. You said it's important to rest, and you have a one day that you're not working. So what does rest mean? Because what does it mean for you? Because it can mean something different for me than it does for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's a couple different versions of rest for me. I think sometimes I'll just sit, and maybe I'll watch something on TV, right? I'll watch, if there's an NBA game on, that's refilling my tank. I think a lot of times rest is more about, okay. We'll talk about that later. But I think it looks different for everybody, right? Something I learned in a church growing up at, and you've been at this church before, but you have to recreate to recreate. So it's like sometimes you have to just get out and do something that you love. I love to play basketball. So if I can get over the gym and play some hoops for a couple hours, that refills my tank. And it seems like, but by the time I'm done, I'm kind of winded and tired. But what's crazy is that fills my tank to be able to come into the next, to come into that evening or come to the next day, and I feel refreshed. And so I rest for me, if I were to just sit and watch TV all day, that actually I'm going to come back to the next day feeling even more tired than I was before I did that. So I think you have to I think for each and every person you have to define what is what refills your tank. My wife and I we like to go on a drive, You know, when you go on a drive, it's like one of the only legal times that you can just strap your kids down, right? You just strap them in the back seat, and
So real.
then we go on a drive, and we get some Starbucks, and we you know, talk, and that refills my tank. That's rest for me.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I think it's important that people discover what, like you said, what fills their tank. I know for me, it's a lot of times it's like going for a hike with my wife, or for us here in Arizona, man, I just go in my backyard and sit in my pool and just float there with complete silence. Like that to me is like fills my tank more than anything in the world, because it's just peace and quiet. Because especially in ministry, bro, like it's loud. There's just always something going on. There's always people around, and which is awesome. That's the purpose, right? But for me, like, man, just a nice, quiet, silent time where I'm just able to reflect on my life and not even think about anything else besides the sun shining on my face and me floating in a pool. Like that's so nice for me. But you know, we're all different. You play basketball, I lay in the pool.
Got to find what you love. There you go.
You do. So, and then another thing that you talked about is you talked about that you don't work for man, you work for God, and that's 100% true. 100% true. But how do you decipher in your brain, and how do you balance that? Because yes, you work for God, and yes, you work for a man, and you know, so there's two sides to that coin. I'm just wondering, with everything that's going on, man fails us constantly, God does not. That's how I hold on to it. But how do you balance just that whole factor of, well, I'm not really working for man, I'm working for God? Like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, great question. I think it's gosh, yeah, like it's a perspective thing. So you're right. You know, I do work for a person, you know. I think having boundaries at work is a big deal. Especially when there's a lot to do. Like you said, there's so much noise. I mean, there's always something to do. There's always something. You know, we need to make more content. In this world, it's like content is king. So we got to keep producing. There's more songs to write. I mean, we could push ourselves so hard. Or let's just say, even from a work perspective, you could be being pushed so hard. And so I think it is important to communicate where you're at with your oversight, or, you know, your boss, to say, if you're not having meetings to where you can say, hey, this is my level of productivity, or this is how I'm feeling, or I'm tired. If you don't have a space for that, you need to figure out how to create a space like that. And not everywhere has that. But I think there are ways that you can lean in. And I think the key to it is humility. If you come in going, hey, I need this, I need that, that's, to me, not humility. I think humility says, hey, I think you can address, like, hey, I love what I'm doing. I think, like, just so they don't question, you know, oh, are you not loyal to here? No, I love what I'm doing. I love the mission that I'm part of. I want to let you know where I'm at, because I think the key is, like, we want health, and then we also want to be productive for the places that we're working. So I think you can humbly let them know where you're at. Like, hey, I think I need a little bit more space here, a little more time here. And I think 9 times out of 10, people respect that. If you come with humility, I think they respect that and respond well. And if you can let them know that, then I think that will help you on the man side stay in a space where you're not burning out, and you feel like you can be productive.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And that word burnout is an interesting word, because most of the time you're burnt out because you're not taking care of yourself. You're not taking care of your health. It's not necessarily that you're working too hard. Like, we should work hard. Like, that's what we should do. But typically it's because there's something that we're lacking in our personal life that is that we need to do, like filling our tanks, like you're talking about. We have to take that time to fill our tanks and to put ourselves back in a place where we're mentally stable, and we're not completely throwing ourselves under the bus every single day because we're overworking, you know? And so right. I think that's huge, man. I'm definitely a guy who will work too hard. I've gone above and beyond, stayed, late when I didn't need to, and did all that kind of stuff. So I'm super, super guilty of it. And I've learned the hard way in a lot of ways to not do that, to really go, okay, I've hit my limit. This is it. I need to go rest and take some time for me and my family. And that's the other thing. If you're a family man out there or a family woman, man, your family is first, like above your ministry, above the people that you're leading. You need to lead your family first. You need to be there for your kids. You need to be there for your wife. You need to be there for your husband, and show up for them, because these are the times that they're going to remember. My wife remembers the 16-hour days, and it really hurt us. But what I'm having to do now is make up for that in some ways. Like, hey, I've missed a lot because of my long days. Now I'm switched my mindset. I'm going, okay, I'm going to spend more time with my family. I'm going to be more intentional. When I get home, my phone is going on silent. I'm not turning it off, but I'm going to put it on silent, and I'm going to say, you get my undivided attention. And when I do that, the health of my family starts to grow. And I don't know if you can relate to that at all, but what about your family when it comes to being a dad? So you're a dad of 2 little girls. You have a wife. You and your wife do ministry together. So I know me and my wife did ministry together. That's all we ever talked about. We're like, do we have anything else in common anymore? What about you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I concur. I agree with that, bro. About 4 p.m. every day is kind of my cutoff. It's like once it hits 4 p.m., even 3:30, if I'm picking up my daughter from school, from that moment forward, I do everything I can to try to just give my undivided attention to my family, because just like we've been talking about, bro, there's always another email that just came in. It's always there. And really,
Yeah.
we're talking about what really matters. What really, really matters. Our first ministry is our family. And
Yep.
in 20 years, we'll look back and go, man, we accomplished some really cool stuff, but I totally missed out on my family. I totally missed out on my girls. I totally missed out on that. Or we'll look back and say, man, I love the relationship I have with my daughters and my wife, and we accomplished some great stuff. But
Absolutely.
I think the tendency today is to just work, and I think the key is just being like exactly what you just said, and we did the same, is being incredibly intentional. Work, tells us to show up at 8 or 9 or whatever time, and and then at a certain point we leave. I think we have to give that same of intentionality to say, hey, from 4 to 9, to 8 p.m. to these girls go to bed, and then I get more time with my wife or whatever. Like, this is important time. It's like blocked out on my calendar. I don't specifically have it blocked out on my phone calendar, but I have like a run day. I have a run sheet of like a lot of my days, and at a certain point it says family. And so that's, I think, key to be super intentional with that.
That's good. So tell me about your run sheet. For me, I am a calendar guy. I have to put everything down. I put reminders down on my phone. Shoot, I even put reminders to have fun time with my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Like, what are the things that you do to keep yourself in line when it comes to your family, your balance, and your personal health?
Yeah. So something changed my life probably 5 months ago, 6 months ago. I listened to this podcast. I recommend it. It's the podcast is called My First Million. It's called My First Million, and they had a guy named Rob Dyrdek, Fantasy Factory. You probably know who Rob Dyrdek is.
Oh yeah.
They had Rob
Dyrdek
on, and he talked about his schedule, and it blew my mind. He's like a 4:30 a.m. guy. He runs multiple different companies or whatever, but he just talked about his work, his health, and his family. And he breaks his life up into 3 specific areas. And he's like, you can't achieve true happiness without having these things in the balance. And so he breaks his life up into literally 3 sections, like work, family, and then rest and sleeping. And so for me, so from that, I actually established, I did 75 hard, started 4.5 months ago. I'm done now. But from doing that, bro, I had to get really intentional with my time, way more intentional than I had ever been in my life. Because I started without. And then I was like, working out like behind my house at like midnight because I didn't get it in, early enough. And so it really made me like reestablish like, hey, this is when I get up. So I created a run sheet of literally like, hey, I'm going to be up at 5:30. I don't get up at 5:30 every day, but certain days I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning, and it was like, all right, I'm going to read from here to here, and then I'm gonna pray from here to here because I just wanted to script to make sure I was praying. And I want to make it a priority. And then it was breakfast, and then it was like, hey, I'm taking Olivia to school, and then it was like, hey, straight to here, I'm gonna start working on worship stuff. So I literally just I assigned a time to every single thing. Workout number one here, and if you know anything about 75 hard, you have to drink a lot of water. So it was literally like water one, water two, and so
this is my life.
So, let's go. So yeah, so I got really specific. I got really specific about what mattered, because the things that matter you have to schedule or they'll get pushed out of the way. And I just told myself where to go, when, and I scheduled the things that mattered most.
That's so good, man. That's so good. And for people like us, we tend to be a little scattered brained. I don't know about you, but there's so much going on. There's so many projects that I'm doing that it's hard to keep my life straight. For me, I own a business where I do graphic design and video and all that kind of stuff. And I have multiple clients, and I'm having to like, okay, I got this project over here and this project over here. I need to finish this. And so the best thing I've ever done is the same type of thing, almost not exactly a run sheet like you're doing, but where my calendar is getting filled up and I'm saying, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to work on this project and it's due here. So I need to make sure it's done here, bringing myself to a place where I'm not scattered brain, because being scattered brain can cause you to get lost in what you're doing and where you're at and get frustrated and be sad, like whatever it is, like it could bring a lot of emotion because you can feel overwhelmed by all the stuff that's coming onto you. So instead of letting everything that you do control you, I'm like, okay, I'm going to control everything that I'm doing. And when I do that, everything's lifted up and I'm able to put it in place and take control of my situation, And so if you're out there, man, like, and you don't have any type of system, I would really suggest figuring that out for yourself. What does that system work for you? What's going to help you be the best version of yourself? Because we have a lot going on, especially in the church. There's a million projects. There's something every weekend. We're trying to write songs, make graphics, write content, talk to the pastor about his content, coming up with content. I mean, it's just constant all the time, and you have to take control of what you're doing and how you're doing it. It just for the sake of yourself, Right. But I think that's super good, man. I makes me laugh thinking about seeing Luke out behind his house at midnight working out because he missed a workout, and then getting up 6 hours later to do another one.
Got to get the squats in, bro. Got to get the squats in.
Yeah. Did it change your body? Do you feel like your body had good change inside of it?
Okay, so yes, I think I lost 18 pounds, which was crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
I lost 18 pounds. But I would say the largest effect it had was on my mind, bro. It was crazy.
Yes.
I felt like I was just like, because I was reading way more than I've ever read. You read 10 pages a day, but when you start doing that consistently, I was reading way more than 10 pages a day. I'd sit down and start reading. I was like, man, this is amazing. I even added to it, bro. Like, it's amazing when we challenge ourselves what we can do. I was like 10 days in, and I was like, dude, I just like started feeling like just hyped up, just like, man, I'm gonna take over the world. This is amazing. And so I was like, yo, I'm gonna add a couple things. So I added journaling every day to like 75 Hard, as well as writing one song every day.
Wow.
And it wasn't like finish the song, but it was like sit down with the intention of writing a full song. And by the end of it, I think I had like 60 song ideas, because I started like 15 days in or whatever. It was amazing, bro. That's
crazy. A song a day. So yeah. Were there any days that you finished a song, like wrote an entire thing?
Yeah, I would say like full sections. Like, I'm sure it needed editing or whatever, but yeah, I have some songs that would be like full songs. And then some days and then a couple of days I would be like, I started a song and then I would try to finish it the next day or whatever. So I was a little more lenient on those because those weren't officially part of 75 Hard. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I'll finish this song like right now. I want to work on it or whatever. But it's amazing when we challenge ourselves, like what we're capable of. It's insane.
Oh, so true. So
Yeah.
true. So true. What do you, so when it comes to books, like what are you reading? Like so you did 75 hard, you have to read 10 pages. You read more than that.
Yep.
What kind of material were you reading?
Yeah. So I read a book called Hearing God by Nathan Finocchio, which is, I would recommend that book a
Amazing.
ton.
Yep.
I read a book called The Hole in Our Gospel by a guy named Richard Stearns. He was the CEO of World Vision. And so he really just talked,
Okay.
it was a beautiful book about our life with God is not, it's about us and God, but also it should be affecting others around us. And if you think of World Vision, or if you know about World Vision, man, they're making such an impact around the world.
For
Um,
sure.
so I read that book. I read a book called Start at the End by a guy named Dave Levinsky, and
Okay.
he runs a LA based firm called Growthink, and he helps businesses grow. So that was like more on the business side, and I would recommend this book as well. It's reverse engineering like your business. You go, okay, what's my 5 year? Okay, what's my 1 year? Okay, what's my 1 month? Okay, what's today? And he has stuff all the way practical down to like, it's called like a Gantt diagram, and it's like, hey, my current customers, new customers, my current product, new product, and just talking about different ways to grow. And I'd say the biggest takeaway for me from that book was most people worry about the current operations of their business.
Yeah.
They spend most of their time on that when they should be spending more time on asset building through project management and growth. And so working really, not just working in your business, but working on your business. And
Yeah.
so I read that. And now I'm still reading. I'm reading a book, The Reason for God by Timothy Keller. He's a pastor in New York City, Redeemer Presbyterian Church, and just talking about different arguments of faith and things like that. It's a very, very good book. Yeah.
Incredible.
And
Incredible.
yeah,
No, that's good. That's good. And do you read any like books that don't have to do with God at all?
absolutely. That Start at the End one is
That's
strictly just a business book. Yeah.
okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's incredible. Cause, obviously I'm all about spiritual growth. We
Yeah.
should be growing ourselves spiritually constantly, but I've been thinking about that a lot, and being in church, most of the books that we've read that we were given to read, or that I've read just intentionally, always were like spiritual growth. And I'm like, I wonder what it would be like to read something outside of that. And so I've been doing that a lot more. And I do feel like it's giving me a different perspective, even just like on the business side and how we're doing things. And then even just like mental health. Mental health is like one of the leading causes of people to leave the church when they work in the church already, and they're just tired, they're done. And then a lot of those guys who deal with mental health, when they quit the church like altogether, not just working there, but actually going and being a part in their relationship with the Lord. And I've seen that happen so much. And so I'm like, okay, how can we push people forward to stay healthy constantly all the time? So there's tons of resources out there. We're discovering what those are. But I appreciate you sharing your books, bro, what you read with us, and super valuable. Real quick, can we just talk about, have you had any times in your life, in your ministry life especially, that you just wanted to quit and give up and just go get a day job and not do this anymore? And if you did, how did you come out of it? Because you're obviously still in ministry, you're still doing your thing. Were there any times like that in your life?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, bro. I think I would say I've hit, quitting points multiple times. Like seriously, where it's like, man, it'd be easier to just go do something else. But a saying I heard and I believe is don't quit rest. Don't quit rest. And I know we already talked about rest a little bit, but I'm trying to think of like a specific time. I think I think when I lived in LA, there was a couple of moments where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. But I think the greatest help to me in those situations was like friends, like friends around. Like sometimes you just need to like go out to dinner or have a chat with somebody who knows what you're supposed to be doing, like what you're called to do. I think that's what's super important about godly friends is they know like hopefully your friends know what your dreams are, and what's near and dear to your heart and what you're called to.
There it is.
If you don't have friends like that, I would say make them now. I believe this. You got to get good godly friends before you need good godly friends, because at some point it's going to hit the fan. There's going to be stuff that happens that
Yeah.
sucks, and without
Yeah.
those godly friends, you will want to quit. And I've been in that circumstance where it's like I want to quit, but I was fortunate enough to have friends that were like, "Come on, we got this, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, just keep going." Like, people who are there to encourage you. And I would even say that's my experience in LA. I mean, I wouldn't even, I would say it's probably happened everywhere. I mean, seriously, when I lived in San Francisco, I think we all hit quit. If we're really honest with ourselves, like, we hit quitting points like more often than we probably want to admit.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it just helps, even writing stuff down too. Like, when I started journaling and stuff, I think that helped me to, like, keep great perspective, and to just know it's like, what's the big picture? Like, the big picture, like,
There
we're
you
gonna
go.
have ups and downs and that type of thing, and the downs are probably, it's not usually like on the ups that we're like, oh, I want to quit. No, it's usually in the valleys, bro. And so
Yeah.
just having good friends, godly friends that can help you through it. My wife can help me.
That's
I've helped
good.
my wife through things, and so I think relationships are key in that.
Yeah, that's so good, man. Yeah, we preach that like crazy on Worship and Creative. I think it's the most important thing you can do, yeah, as a creator or pastor or leader, is have people that you surround yourself with, people that can push you forward and up, and that you can call and be honest with. I think that's the other side of the things. Like, how many conversations should you have? Like, when you're not, like you mentioned earlier, you're not feeling healthy, something's going on. You should be honest and have a real conversation, but we choose not to because we feel like we're going to be complaining or put ourselves in a bad situation at work. Like, man, I just say, don't even worry about that. Like, if you're going through a hard time, as your leader, I would way rather you be honest with me and tell me the truth and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm going through this. You know what that does? That opens me up to go, how can I help you? Let's move forward together. Like, let me make adjustments for you so that you are a healthy individual. That's the way a leader should lead. And for me, like, man, I've been in a situation where that conversation didn't happen and it ended up bad. And I'm just thinking back and I'm like, I just wish somebody would have had a conversation with me, or I wish there was something that we could have just talked it through, or had friends, whatever. But the cool thing is when those bad things happened, I did have friends that I can call literally that day, that night, when something really bad happened in my life. One of my best friends called me. He goes, let's go to Top Golf. And we just hit balls and talked. And I was like in the darkest and the deepest valley of my life in that moment. But my friends came in and we just did something fun. And it helped me just bring my perspective back and say, okay, because of my friendships, because of the people I'm surrounding my life with, and because of my faith that I have in the Lord, I'm going to be all right. It's going to be okay. And you know what? Everything's working out and we're doing great. But I really believe that friendship, surrounding yourself with people, is super key, bro. Especially if you're married, man, talk to your wife, talk to your husband, have real conversations with them. And say from the very beginning, like, hey, I just want to warn you, I'm struggling in this and I'm going to talk to you about it. And I need your help. I need you to just pray for me, speak life over me. And when you can just, from the very beginning, just say that, I think it'll be super helpful, even just with the communications, because, our spouses, we tend to see it all. So we can get a little frustrated a little bit more easy, or be like, hey, you're just being a baby. But if you can just say it at the very top, hey, this is something I'm actually struggling with and I'm having a really hard time. Will you help me? Will you pray for me? Will you just talk to me and just speak truth over my life? That was so key for me. My wife did such a well job at doing that, and so that's good. I love that, man. Communication,
so good.
Surrounding yourself with good people. friends who could bring you out of the valley. Like, so good. One of the things, I actually posted a post today talking about isolation. If you look at Worship and Creative today, you'll see isolation was one of the biggest killers for creatives. We put ourselves in a place that there's nobody around, and all of a sudden we're like, what is going on with my heart and my mind? And I feel insecure, and I'm looking around, and I don't know, I feel alone. And it's every single time you feel alone is when you feel like that things really could go bad, because there's no one there to help lift you up. There's no one there to help you out. There's no one there to speak truth and life over your life. So isolation, don't do it, man. That's so real. But
yeah, that's huge, bro. And I'll even speak to that. I
yeah,
don't
please.
think about like the pandemic, bro. Like, so we've seen
Oh.
so much isolation, and to see the effects. I mean, I dare to say, like, bro, like we're seeing the effects of it already now, which is really sad.
Yep.
Like, just the depression and anxiety that comes from just being isolated
So
and
real.
being away from
So real.
from other people. We're never created for that. We're never created to be alone. And
Yeah.
and so just once again, man, friends, relationships, and that's the key. Being vulnerable.
Yeah. Speaking of friends and relationships, the music that you're making right now is Destiny City music, and it's not just Luke. It's you know what, the cool thing about you, it never really has just been Luke. You had a few songs that you put out by yourself and stuff like that, but man, like, you've always been in community, in your worship community, and Destiny City Music is a group of people that have come from different churches, different backgrounds, different styles, and they're just coming together and uniting themselves. But can you just tell us about Destiny City Music? How can we find your music? How did it start? Just give us the rundown about all that.
Yeah, about 2.5 years ago, my wife and I were like, "Hey, we want to start." It was actually during the pandemic, and we want to start Destiny City Music. This was something that was in my heart for probably 10 years. Not like the name Destiny City Music, but like this idea. We have a bunch of friends who all do music. They do music at church, or they do music in the community, and I just thought, always, man, I don't get to play music with these friends. Like, what could we do to come together? And so 2 years ago, we were like, hey, let's start Destiny City Music, talking about community. Man, like, we just had friends that played music, and we were like, man, we don't get to play music with them, so let's figure out how to get us together. So we started Destiny City Music. Our music's available on Spotify and any digital platform or whatever. But prior to that, I had, like you said, I had put out a few singles on my own. And that was the first time I had ever done music outside of church, where there is a community. And I put those out, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, like a party that was like kind of not that fun. You know, like you ever go to a party and like, this party sucks. Like, this is whack.
For sure.
That's what it felt like. Like, I was like, man, like, I'm excited about this, but I'm really not. It was weird.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we made the decision, like, hey, music with friends is way better than music alone. And I think you could enter different words into that. Like, creating with friends is way better than creating alone, or cooking with friends. I mean, like I said, you can enter anything
cooking with
friends. Cooking with friends, because it's relationship, man, and it's living life with other people, and
so real.
And it's been one of the most fun things that I've ever been a part of. We just had a writer's retreat like 2 months ago. We went out kind of in the middle of nowhere, rented an Airbnb, and just wrote songs for 2 days. And
nice.
Bro, it's just like the camaraderie and like the relationships that we have is like, it's like almost more about that than it is the music, which is crazy to say. I mean, I think the music's awesome, and we're getting to, like, write some really good music and push ourselves creatively and not settle. And that's something I think too, like when you're like, something that's cool about Destiny City Music is we try to make everything a co-write. Like, if somebody wrote like an awesome song and it was just by themselves, that's great. I mean, that's great. But we really do try to make everything a co-write, like make it collaborative. Because we have a tendency to settle on our own. I'll go, we fall in love with our own little things, and then a lot of times we settle. And getting that second perspective, or third, or even fourth perspective, can help us really hone in the message to make sure we're communicating as best as possible the message of what we're singing about, whatever the song's about, and that type of thing. We released a record in October of last year. It was a live worship record, and And then we released a single about a month ago, a
Yeah.
song called My Story, which was awesome. And we're working on writing some more music right now. So Destiny City Music, keep your eye out for some more stuff on the way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, bro. That's exciting. What do you guys do you have any shows coming up, anything like that we need to know about?
Yes. We're opening up for Lecrae actually here in Kent at the Showware Center, which is we're excited about. We're going to be doing that. And then we don't have any, nothing on the calendar for this summer yet. But so if you're booking,
Yeah, if you're booking Destiny City Music,
yeah,
that's the way to go. So okay, so you're opening up for Lecrae. That's kind of funny. You got a worship band, and then Lecrae's going to come out and do his thing. Tell me about that.
yeah,
How'd that happen?
yeah. I'm gonna rap. I'm gonna rap, and then
Okay.
it's a festival, so we're playing at a festival. There's like there's like 7 different artists. It's called Awakening Music Festival. It's a new festival. A friend of mine is putting on, so that's kind of how we got thrown in it. Like we're the least known probably out of any of the artists that are playing. So we're just kind of like, all right, well, we're in. Let's do it. So yeah,
that's incredible.
We're excited. We're excited to do that.
What's your long-term goal for Destiny City?
Long-term goal, Destiny City. I think we're just gonna keep. Bro, honestly, we're just gonna keep writing and keep making music and really try to collaborate as much as possible. We started with 9 artists 2 years ago. We added 1 artist 5 months ago, and then I think we're gonna continue to grow in artists. It's really all been out of relationship, but I think the cool thing about Destiny is it's kind of an addition for everyone. So it's like everyone's doing their own ministry or life.
Yeah.
Like I think of my friends Shane and Kayla. They lived here in Tacoma. They ended up moving to LA. They're doing music stuff there. But for them, they're like, man, this is really like the ministry side of our creativity and what we do. Destiny City Music, the name Destiny City, Tacoma is the city of destiny. That's where I live. It's where essentially every artist that is on the label has either been in super close proximity of Tacoma or lived here at one time. And so that was kind of where the name comes. I love the word destiny, or the destiny of a believer is heaven. When you say yes to Jesus, man, boom, your destiny's heaven. You're going to heaven. And
wow.
So so we have friends that are, like I said, in different areas now. We have one of our artists in Boise, but everyone is occupied doing something else. But the cool thing is they can do Destiny kind of on the side, and we can come together, and it's kind of something that we can do together.
Incredible. I love that, man. Community is everything. So that's huge that you guys are doing that. I appreciate you really putting effort into that, because a lot of times we all try to do our own things by ourselves, which it can turn out really good for you. But I feel like I say it all the time, but man, life is always better together. We're always doing life together. The song, that's something that people don't realize. And I was talking to this songwriter the other day, and I was like, hey, have you shown your song to anybody? And he's like, no. I'm like, you need to show it to more people and get their opinion. Go to someone that you really appreciate the way they write, anything like that, and just bounce it off them. What if they steal it? I'm like, who cares? Just be in community, bounce your ideas off each other, and do whatever you can to grow in your craft. Because I bet as you guys are sitting in there, I've been at songwriting retreats, and I've been at different things like that. And the coolest part that I've ever seen was, say I brought a song, everybody putting ideas and things that I would have never thought of, because my perspective is my perspective, right? And so when you bring another perspective in, and you have the song, and you might be like, there's something missing. Somebody might hear that something that's missing and add it in and make it exactly what it needs to be. And so that's what I really appreciate about community, whether that's songwriting, graphic design, video work, whatever you're doing. It's always good to be in community and bouncing your ideas off of other people.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Yeah, man. So tell us, where can we find your music, and what's the best way for us to do that for you?
Yeah, if you have Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, we're on all those. Just search us on there, Destiny City Music. All the songs are collabs, so it's like Destiny City Music and Caroline Lindbergh, and
it'll say their name. Okay.
Yeah, it'll say their name too. So it's kind of cool because it connects you to individual people as well. So yeah.
Cool. Well, Luke, I really appreciate you taking 44 minutes of your time to talk to us and speak truth, and like I said, Luke is one of those guys that he's been around for a while. He's been doing ministry since he was a kid, been doing music since he was a kid. And I just really believe that, if you don't follow him already, just follow him because he will give you value. Look him up in Tacoma. If you're ever in Tacoma, go check out the church. Let him lead you in some worship. You preach too sometimes, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're ever in Tacoma, go look up his church. Look up Luke Breton. Send him a message on Instagram. I'm sure he gets on there every single day. Probably not, but I'm sure he'll respond back to you and get back to you. But hey, Luke, once again, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you just getting on here and having a conversation about being a creative and how to be healthy and all those things. So, got anything else to say? Are you done? You got one?
Yeah,
you want to give one last shout out?
I got one more thing I need to say. No.
Okay,
no.
please do.
No, I'm kidding. Thank you so
Okay.
much for having me, bro. I love what you're doing. I believe in it. And yeah, bro, anything I can do to help, advance this. I love this. I love the topics you're talking about. I think it's so vital right now. And yeah, that's yet to come. I believe it.
Let's go. The best is yet to come. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you, bro. Like I said before, make sure you follow Luke on social media. Make sure you go check out Destiny Music and all that they're doing there. And once again, if you haven't yet, make sure you push subscribe. Leave some comment in the comment section or whatever you can do to just stay connected to Worshiping Creative and all that we're doing here with the podcast. But hey, we love you guys, and we'll see you at the next episode. Later.